Thank you. Okay, we are just about set up here. Sound looks good into OBS at least. Let me shuffle a few more of these around. Made this preview. Hear myself, which is good. Okay, quick introduction. So hello to everyone. My name is Tim. I go by foamyguy on GitHub and Discord. And today we will be working on a CircuitPython project, although a bunch of what I want to work on today is not necessarily the CircuitPython code, but I think some CPython code that will kind of work together with CircuitPython to make the effect we're after. So I will dive into that a little bit here shortly, but as a brief introduction for anybody who might be new, CircuitPython, this is kind of the core of what we work on this stream usually. This is the website for it if you want to learn more, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on these tiny computers. There's a bunch of them in the background of the page here. Also, if you click on downloads here, you can see a big list of all the supported devices. And so these are basically tiny computers of all different shapes and sizes. As you can see, scrolling through this list here, some are round, some are sort of Arduino Uno form factor. Many have built-in screens, some have multiple screens, some are tiny little USB plugs, all different shapes and sizes of these microcontrollers. And the deal with all of them is that you can program them with CircuitPython, which means that when you plug it into your computer, it will show up as basically a thumb drive, CircuitPy right here. On this drive, it will have the file code.py, and you just edit that file with whatever text editor you want, and then save it, and the device will run the new version of the code right away. So it's real quick and easy to iterate on your programs and to try out different things and all of that sort of stuff. So if you want to get involved, again, you can head to circuitpython.org. There's a contributing link here which lists out all of the pull requests and open issues. This is a good place for folks that are looking to get involved in the project. Also, definitely join us on the Discord, which is what's showing on the window down here is the live broadcast chat on the Adafruit Discord. If you want to get hardware related to this stuff, you can do it at adafruit.com. This is their website right here. This is the company that is providing the money behind CircuitPython. So they are paying the folks who work on the project full-time. They're paying some folks to work on the project part-time, such as myself. And so if you want to buy CircuitPython devices, or you want to buy breakouts and sensors and switches and lights and all sorts of other things that you can hook up to your CircuitPython devices, head to adafruit.com if you would like, and definitely we all appreciate that because that helps support them, and they are of course supporting CircuitPython project. So I have pulled up the documentation for Pillow. Pillow is a Python library. PIL is the original library. I think at some point along the way it stopped being maintained or something like that, and there is now Pillow, which is a newer, as I understand it, I guess, version of PIL that implements a lot of the same things, but has been maintained more recently or differently or something. I don't know. Maybe the original project is out there as well. Basically, this is a Python library for modifying images. Like imagine some things that you would maybe open GIMP or Photoshop or something like that to do with an image. Like you want to resize it, you want to cut part of it out, you want to change the color balance or whatever. You can do all of that sort of stuff using Python code with this library. And so this is Pillow, happens to be the one that I have used before, so that's the one that I kind of go back to whenever I need to do work like this. Taking a step back though, what are we going to use Pillow for? The goal is basically kind of what I have on the device here. So this is a high portal device with the built-in screen, of course. And what I have showing on it is a Winamp skin, the base Winamp skin, in fact, or one of them. And so our goal is basically to be able to take these Winamp skins, show it on the PyPortal, and then make some portions of it functional. We're not really aiming to have 100% of all of this stuff functional. It's way too small for one thing, right? Winamp was made for a desktop PC with a mouse, so it had really fine-grained control. You could, maybe move all of these sliders individually and touch all of these small buttons. Well, click on all these small buttons. Of course, we don't have a mouse, right? So we have a touchscreen, which means, if we wanted to have touch points, they would most likely need to be bigger than this. Otherwise, it's going to be too easy for the user to press the wrong thing. But I think we can do a few things to kind of just add to the effect that this is a real music player. I think we can maybe fill in the text at the top here, which shows the currently playing song. I think we could fill in the time here, which shows maybe the current time within the song, right? If it's a 3-minute song, how many seconds into it are you? I think maybe we can clear out this list at the bottom, which shows, I think, the current playlist. And maybe we can show a couple of the songs that are in our playlist, right? So the goal is to kind of make a Winamp themed MP3 player that runs on the PyPortal that has some basic functionality and takes its theme from this Winamp skin. But that is not the only thing we want to do, right? If you did use Winamp in its heyday, one of the things you probably know about it is that there were a bajillion of these different themes out there. You could, skin, quote unquote, skin your Winamp in whatever theme you wanted. So if you happen to be a fan of, a particular sports team or a particular sport overall, or a person like a singer or an actor or something like that, there was probably a theme out there for that thing that you were interested in, and you could go and get the theme, or you could even customize it and make your own theme. So what we have left of this now is this Winamp skin museum online, which is at skins.winamp.org. And these are, again, a bajillion. I don't know how many there are, hundreds at least. You can kind of just scroll and scroll and scroll on this page forever. There's a search box, so you can narrow it down further, but you can also just scroll through these forever. And as you can tell, they're quite packed in there. So there are a lot of these skins out there. And so wouldn't it be neat if we could repurpose not just one of these skins on the PyPortal, but come up with a mechanism to where we could repurpose any one of these skins and get it onto the PyPortal, and then suddenly we can have not only a Winamp music player on our PyPortal, but we can have whichever Winamp music player we want out of this entire list here. So lots of ability to customize what it looks like, which was the core idea, I think, of Winamp when they provided all of these theming mechanisms. Basically, you could submit some sprite sheets that built out all of these different themes. So that's what we're trying to do. When I sat down to start working on this, one of the first things I noticed was, well, let's step through this a little bit here. So all of these skins you can download here. So if you click on it, you can click download, save the file. We'll copy this. I have a working directory over here. Copy it into here. I don't know why it didn't show any files. Loading. Oh, it does this sometimes where it just doesn't load. If we go back to it, I bet it will. Yeah. Let's grab that download. So this is basically a zip file which contains a couple configuration text things and a bunch of sprite sheet images. Copy this, paste it here. Let's open it. So it happens to be pretty much a zip. It's WSZ, which I think is their custom, file extension, but it is just a zip file, turns out. Well, some kind of zip file. My computer was able to open it without anything special. I could just extract it. So this is what's inside of it. There's a bunch of sprite sheets in here, and these are the sprite sheets that make up all of these different themes, right? So if this is the theme we're looking at, then within these sprite sheets, it contains all the components you need to put together in order to get a skin that looks like this. And not only looks exactly like this, but also some other, embellishments, right? There's different highlighting for the rows here. So, like text, if we zoom in on this, you can see there's maybe a couple of different colors for the text, like highlighted versus not highlighted. I don't know what the difference between the top and the bottom is exactly. Must be some difference there. I don't really see what it is, but the title bar, there's like 4 or 5 different title bars or 6 different title bars, because in the program, the title bar can have any one of these different states. And so the program is set up to, look in the sprite and grab the particular one that it needs for right now. And so a lot of this stuff, is optional. Like all the buttons, there's the regular button state, and then I assume this is the pressed button state, the darker one. So like if you press it, it kind of looks like it goes in a little bit, and it stays in that pressed state until you release the mouse. And so this is how the interface of Winamp works. But one of the things that I noticed is we have a bit of a sizing problem. The PyPortal is 320 by 240. So 320 long ways, which we normally think of as width on the PyPortal. That's the default orientation, happens to be landscape. So 320 long ways, and then 240 the short ways. But these themes are a little bit different, it turns out. So let's look at title bar. Let's just take that one and go inside of GIMP with it. So the full thing here is 344, but really the title bar is what we want, right? So what is this? Okay, so we're on the edge there. I think the edge here is actually back there. I think the next row, the next column over starts the next thing, which is whatever this stuff is. This, I think, is the width of our title bar, which is 276. Might not be exactly 100% perfect, but it's pretty darn close. Maybe off by a couple of pixels, but I think that's pretty close. 276. And so 276 is bigger than the width of our portrait mode PyPortal, right? In portrait mode, our width is 240 and our height is 320. Calculating the height is a little bit more difficult, the height of the theme, because we would need to kind of smash together all of these different parts. But it turns out that the same place where we can download the skins, they obviously have this big grid right here, which shows kind of a preview of each skin. And we can actually just download that as well, which then gives us the full size, assuming that this is kind of a 1-to-1 preview, which I don't know for sure if it is, but we could measure that as well. So I actually have a copy of the base one. Base.png. This is what gets downloaded if you do right-click one of these and save image as. I did the base one, the top left one here. And this gave me an image that was 275 by 348. So I was maybe off by 1 pixel, 276 I had instead of 275. But this is the size that we got for the preview. And so that's pretty close. Again, we're 320 by 240, so it is pretty close, but it's not quite exact. It's a little bit too big in both orientations, both directions. So one way or another, we're gonna need to try to adapt this to the PyPortal screen. If you had a PyPortal Titano, it would fit pretty well. That one I think is maybe 480 by 320 or something like that. So it could possibly fit on the Titano. It might even have some extra room on there, which would be a different problem to try and solve. But for the PyPortal regular, and I think the Pint maybe has the same amount of pixels, they're just smaller possibly. we need to shrink this down some, or we need to cut something out of it so that we can fit everything on the display. We need to lose 28 pixels the long way, and we need to lose about 35 pixels on the short side. So the main thing I've been thinking about for about a week or so, maybe a week and a half or so now, is kind of like, what's the best way to do this? And essentially there's two overarching ideas, right? Either we start with all the files in here, we start with these sprite sheets, and we compile them together the same way that the program GIMP would have done. And in fact, there's a web version of this. I don't know how. WebAmp, this is it, I think. Right, so this is like a fake Windows XP or whatever 98 looking display here with an emulated version of Winamp running inside of it. So if you do want to run Winamp, or feel like you're running Winamp at least, you can do this. It's obviously not the same program. This is built in JavaScript because it's in a web page. But it's a pretty good facsimile of the good old days, right? If you're sitting in your home in 99 or whatever, I don't know, using Winamp to listen to some tunes, this will probably bring back the same feelings. So we could compile it together. We could do sort of the same thing that all this JavaScript code is doing, break down those sprite sheets, add everything together to build like an actual functional interface. But we don't necessarily need a fully functional interface, right? We already mentioned before, the buttons are too small. We don't really have a mouse. These things are too small, too close together. We couldn't really control them individually with a touchscreen. So maybe we think about a different option. So one option is build from the sprite sheet, just like the emulator here would, and just like the original Winamp program would have done as well. Build it from all of these parts. The other option I thought of was, what if we start from the preview image, which is what I downloaded there, right? This one, base.png, this is the preview image for this theme. This is nice for a few reasons. For one thing, we don't have to put all the stuff together, right? We already have a reasonably full put together interface for Winamp, right? We don't have to bother with like sticking the title bar on top and choosing which title bar it's going to use, and manually compiling together all of these different components and telling it where each one goes and all of that stuff. We don't have to do any of that. It's already done here because it's all set inside this one image. All of these bars are nice and pretty, right? These are set up as this nice rainbow and the sine wave thing here, which looks really cool, right? We would have to either, once we built everything up, we would either have to like set those values in or something like that if we wanted that effect, or what we saw back on this page as well, when you click on this, one of the previews, it has them all at the same level, right? So we could maybe do that as well, and it wouldn't require as much work. But I do kind of like the rainbow look and the sine wave. I assume they chose that because it's kind of pleasing to look at for the previews here, and I kind of agree. So I think it would be nice if we could see that on our PyPortal. So if we start from the preview, then think about like, what are the problems we need to solve to get this onto the PyPortal? We need to still solve the size problem, right? Our preview we saw before, it was, what did we say, 275 by 348. So we still need to lose some size. And then I think once we do that, we get it fitting on the PyPortal, the main other things that I think I might want to do are like cut out, let's do this in GIMP maybe so I can draw some box in here. Let's take this back to the big size even. So I think we want to cut out the text that's in here, just get rid of it, turn it into black basically, fill it with black, or really not just fill it with black, but fill it with whatever the background color is. So it happens to be black behind it in this theme, but on some other themes it might be different, right? Like this one, it's blue and white text. So we want to cut out the text, but we want to make the background the same. So that's one challenge, is going to be figuring out the background kind of drawing over that box with it. So I want to clear out the text here. I want to clear out the text up here, the time, and I want to clear out the text in this playlist box as well. So resize, and then basically, paint over, cover up, tape out, however you want to think about it, remove the text, cut the text out, and leave just the background. And then we'll, in our CircuitPython code, we'll make labels, and we'll position them at those areas within the program, right? We'll just fit an actual label, a display text label, we'll fit it in here. We'll set up the scrolling if we need to or something. I don't know if we have an easy way to do the scrolling. We might be doing that as part of this project. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Maybe we could stack this part on top of it. I don't know, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but basically we want to do those things. Shrink this, cut out some of the text. And so I figured PIL seems like a decent way to do this. When we download the image, we get a PNG. So if I download the Garfield one here, save image as Garfield. I don't know if that's the right spelling, but it's close enough for now. Garfield. We get a PNG file. Garfield.png is the one I downloaded, so we need to convert it to a BMP for sure. We need to make it indexed, right? Colored indexed for display IO, which we can do with Pillow. We can do that with our code. We can shrink it, I think, with our code. We can scale it down. And then I think we'll be able to kind of like eyedropper effect, look up the color of the background here, and then fill in the rectangle. Same thing up here, and same thing down here. So I think what I'm going to do is the workflow for the end user will be browse the skin museum, find the theme you want. There's a search somewhere. There's a search up here, so that makes it easier if you know what you're looking for. Find the one you want. Download the preview. So right-click, save image as. Save it as whatever you want. And then we will have another script right here, a Python script, and you will go to your terminal and you will run, Python convert.py or whatever we call it, test.png. You'll give it your input file like this. It will then grab that file, open it, scale it, do all the changes, and save a new copy of it that is a indexed BMP file that is already the right size, 320 by 240. And maybe we'll save a couple of other things as well, like into a JSON file. I could imagine it being helpful to save some things like the color of the text up here. Maybe the color of the text here. This one does have a little bit crazier thing for the clock here, doesn't it? So this clock would get a little messed up. So what I'm imagining is just cutting a rectangle here, kind of pasting over it with one of these background gray colors, which would kind of lose the effect that each one of these are a different panel. But not all of them are quite this complex. What is this one for? Let's see. Oh, Pip-Boy, okay. Just from, I think, Fallout, maybe? So that will spit out the stuff you need. You'll take your BMP file, maybe your JSON file, you'll copy that onto your CircuitPy drive, you'll copy the CodePy, and then, on a PyPortal, you would also have the SD card plugged in probably with some MP3 files on that SD card. And then from there, you're ready to kind of run the code and jam out to whatever MP3s you have with your screen with this nice stylish old Winamp skin that you've kind of customized from this site. So that's the plan. We're gonna go here and open, let's see. this. I'm going to make a convert. And so we're basically starting from square one. And so I have the pillow docs. The other thing I'm going to do is search for some stuff. PIL scale image. Nope. We need scholarly articles. We need documentation. Scale. Nope, not grayscale. Resize. Sounds good. So open the image. That's pretty standard. This one is looking up the size of the image. Not mandatory. Okay, we're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna do any cropping. I think I do want to scale. Will not change the original image. Yeah, so I think we're gonna do just resize, but not crop. We'll start with this. I'll hard code this for right now, but this is really going to be coming from the command line. Base.png will do. And then it was just, we don't need to look up the existing height or width. We already know what that's going to be. I assume they're all the same. I downloaded a few of them. They were the same. They all look the same on the page. Hopefully they're all the same. We're not going to do any cropping. So no crop, no new size. Well, we could go new size. New size is a tuple, and ours is 240 by 320. I assume width is first. So then we can go the image equals the image dot resize. So image equals image dot resize. New size. And then we don't want to show it, we want to save it. Image.save, I think. Maybe give it a file name. Oh, we need to convert it to a BMP also. Let's just try this first, though. Let's call this... let's just call this one... We want to start all of that already? I think, yeah, let's do this, actually. Input file... This is going to be input file. Also, I'm going to call this input file name. File name. Open input file name. Save it as input file name. Yeah, okay, so save it as input file name replace .png with underscore 240 by 320 dot bmp. I think this p, something like this, I think is how you use the format. That's probably going to be wrong. Let's try it. It's the worst that could happen. One thing is we do already have a base.bmp. Let me rename that one. Manual. So I did that one inside of GIMP. Actually, we should just do this for now. Whoa, hey. Okay, P. Yeah, totally wrong. Okay, let's look at the docs. Oops. Save. Nope, no save. You know, I have this other thing. Hmm. If split equals 4, RGBA. Interesting. I do not know. Do not know what that code is doing. PIL, let's say convert Png to Bmp. I assume this is what we're going to find is basically this code that we just saw. This one just says save, open, and then save, though. Interesting. So we definitely don't need this. We do need to tell it, like, the P, though, is in that thing. It's... Oh, this did save, okay, but it's probably not indexed. It is 240 by 320, so the size worked. Well, as long as it looks all right. I didn't look at it. Yeah, it looks all right. The resize worked, but I think this is, it's 307K, whereas the one I did in GIMP is 78K, so it's much smaller. And I think that's probably because it's not indexed. We open this new one, GIMP, and we go image mode. Yeah, it's RGB, not indexed. And so that's what some of this other stuff was, but I don't know so much about this split thing. Merge. I don't know about all of this stuff, but this is what I was remembering. Basically, we go image equals image.convert mode P. P happens to be the constant for indexed, I think, or indexed BMP or something. It's the one we want, and then save it as BMP. So let's delete that. Let's get it closed in here. Close this too. And run this again. And now this is 77.9K, which is pretty close. Almost the same. 0.1K difference, which is, I guess, probably just something slightly different about the way that GIMP did it versus the way that PIL did it. But close enough. Mode is indexed. Color map. This is our palette, 255. Okay. So we got our resize and we got our convert it to BMP. One thing I'll do to make sure this BMP is good is I'll copy this to my CircuitPy drive. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete trash. I'm going to paste. Okay, so the name is slightly different than before. I put the 320. There we go. Okay, so yeah, CircuitPython is able to draw this, no problem. And it is occupying the whole screen. No. We have blank space at the bottom. Did I get the size wrong? 320 by 240, that sounds right to me. 260? 280? 20 by 280? Maybe it's 280. This is... Hey. Is there a blank spot at the bottom? I can't really tell. Is it 340? 360? Must have the size wrong, I think. So yeah, we don't have empty space at the bottom. What size is the pi portal? Let's go print display.width. Display.height. I don't have TO open. .240 by 320. Is there really that much empty? That much? I'm just so not used to doing it in portrait mode. This empty space down here is what I'm thinking about. Like, I don't... Maybe it's just normally there. I'm so used to looking at it in landscape. What if we scoot this down? What if we just go tile grid dot y equals 20? So this will push the image down, presumably off the bottom of the screen some. 20 pixels. Yeah, it did. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm so used to looking at it in landscape, I guess, that the that blank edge just caught me off guard there a little bit. So let's do back to this. There we go. Okay, so cutting out the text is going to be a little bit trickier. Let's just get the color of a pixel to start with, and then once we have the right color, we'll learn how to draw a rectangle using that color. So we want, let's say that we want to pick from in here. Want to pick from the corner? Does it matter? Might matter on some themes. It doesn't on this one too much. Oh, we can't just open it? Doesn't seem like it will matter too much. We'll test it on a few of them after we make this script. I shouldn't have closed that. So let's say we want to grab pixel, this one, 105 by 24. Except we're going to be inside a convert, not in here. And we want to do this, after we resize, because this is the resized one. So after we resize, before we save, we want to go backdrop color equals, I'm going to set it to none. to initialize it, and then we're going to set it equal to the color we find at that pixel, which was 105 by 24. Color at 105 by 24, which I don't know exactly how to do. Image dot get, no, okay. We'll look at the docs. Let's say PIL get color get pixel get pixel method self xy print image dot get pixel 105 24. What does that print? Positional arguments, but 3 were given. This wants a tuple probably. Okay. 0, 0, 0, and then full alpha. So we don't care about alpha. 0, 0, 0 is black, which is what we want for this one. Let's download one that's not black and make sure that also works. Mountain Dew. This is kind of dark still. Let's do one that's light. Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's pretty sweet. Okay, so we might as well also just start working on more of this too. Why don't we say here, import sys name equals sys dot argv, is it? But then 1. But what if let's index out of range? Okay, so if sys.argv length greater equals 1, then do this, else do this. Or we'll print an error eventually, I guess, probably, right? We don't need to, but for now I'm just going to do this so I don't have to type base every time. Input file name, so now this comes from here. Save, so now we can go Python Jackie Chan. Okay. So we did get, looks like gray, yeah. So now we need to draw a box with that color. And we need to set it into here, actually. So we're going to say backdrop color equals this. Draw a rectangle. Points to define the bounding box, the fill color. So we just say ourImage.rectangle and then shape. Okay, shape can be XY with height, that looks like. And we have fill and outline. So we're not going to do an outline. We're only going to fill. And we're going to fill It runs right up to the edge over here, doesn't it? Okay, we're going to basically fill this box back in with whatever color we got. So this is XY9724. So we're going image just dot rectangle. I guess we'll go cur-song shape. What did we say? 9724. And then width height is 135 and 8. All right. So now draw cur-song shape, fill, backdrop color. Okay, so when we run this again, we should end up with this bar right here being blank for us to be able to write in. This one will actually look weird though, because it does have this lighter color in it, doesn't it? Which we're going to drop, right? We're going to end up this color here, so we'll see what it looks like, but should fill that in for us. And we don't, do we need to do image equals or no? Okay, we just call rectangle and that modifies it. Doesn't return it. So save this, run this again. Whoops. Attribute rectangle. What? Where is... Oh. Draw. Image draw. So, image draw. But then it shows the original image. So the draw is modifying image draw. I imported the wrong one. So then this, and then should get modified one should be the one that gets saved. Okay, so this has this, which is not what we wanted, but is probably what we just drew. We drew a rectangle and it's the right color. It is not the right size. This is probably not XY width height. Instead, it's probably XY of the top left corner and then XY of the bottom right corner. So the bottom right corner would be uh, 97 plus 135. $232x and then y would be 24 plus 8, 32. There we go. Yeah. So this one does not end up looking the exact same, but it's pretty close. And then we would fill in our text there. So we also want to grab the text color. I do think I'm going to save that into a JSON file that goes along with this. If we find that there's anything else we want to save into it, we can do that as well. So backdrop color, text color equals, it's going to be a get pixel, but it will be at, let's get one of the most bright ones, because we've already done our shrinking, which has, I don't know, dithering or whatever. It's made it a little blurry because we shrunk it, and it had to kind of invent which pixels were what. But we're going to render our own text, so it's going to go back to sharp, and we're going to, well, we want box, I guess. 159 by 26. 26. Let's go JSON. Open input file name, replace .png with config.json, writable. Text color. Text color. What will it turn the tuple into? A list, or I don't know what it will turn the tuple into. Okay. And we have this. It turned it to a list. So, I mean, we could probably cut out the 255. We don't have transparency in BMP land, so it's always going to be fully opaque. Keep it for posterity for now, though. So this will be our color, though. On our CircuitPython side, we'll open this JSON and then get the color out of here, and that's what we'll set the text color to. Hey, Johnny, how's it going? This is not the right color, though, actually. Because our, or is it? Our text, what color was the text? It should be black. Nice. 3D printing day. So big. Okay. Maybe this one. Did I fill in the box before I got the text color? No. Hmm. $159 by 26. And this one was bright green. Let's turn off the rectangle drawing. Text is different on each skin. Second half of the text was reverse colored. Not sure what you mean reverse colored. I think we were in the M for Mike, were we? Was it something like this? No. $24. 24? $26. It does have like reverse, like it has an extra background or something there, like an opaque background, because it's technically a little transparent, which we don't have the, I don't think we have a great way to bring that in. 26 though, we want this. Okay, so the color is just not, in the green font, this got collapsed into a pixel that happened to be very well representative of the color of the font, but in the black font, that particular pixel is not nearly as representative of the color. So we should get this before we shrink it. Lighter background. Yeah. That's true, definitely. It does have the lighter background in that half. And ours essentially will have that light color all the way across. So it's not going to look the exact same, but it will be fairly close. And on some themes, it will look the same. It's just this one, the tricks they did with the transparency, we don't necessarily have an easy way to bring in. So I think we want to get our text color pixel before we shrink it, because then it should be not, like, it should be pixel perfect, right? This is not shrunken or whatever. It's not, it doesn't have the weird edges. So in the unshrunken one, we should always get our text color if we look at this pixel, which is 113 by 27. So let's head back up here before we resize. $113.27. Maybe take an average of 4 pixels. I think we can get it from before the dither. Lowercase on the chan skin, others dither differently when resized. Yeah, case could make a difference too. If the theme had like an uppercase rule or a lowercase rule, then maybe that pixel of the M would be different. That could definitely be true. So this, though, I think this will give us the color, because we get it before we resize, so there shouldn't be any dithering. These ones, I think, are all going to be pixel perfect. And so we could save this up here, too. It doesn't really matter what order we do that part in. So let's save that. And let's turn that back on? Yeah, let's turn that back on. Okay, that looks better. We got black for the text, which does look right to me. Yeah. Let's do base. Base should give us a green color. Base. Too many bases. PNG. Yeah. RGB, so lots of green, not very much red, not very much blue. Not any red or blue, in fact, in this case. Okay, now we got our text color. So let's cut out also the... Well, let's do this Garfield one, actually. This will be a good test, because this one doesn't have the transparency tricks. Let's make sure that it gets cut out right. What is Garfield? Garfield.png. Garfield. Oh, yeah. Oh. Actually, we might have killed the border. I think we killed the border. Let's make our rectangle one pixel shorter. I wonder if we're going to leak any font. The other thing is we could draw the rectangle before we scale. Really, yeah, maybe we should do all of our manipulations and then scale down. That way we never have to worry about dithering causing a problem. Is that what we want to do? Let me see what it looks like if I just move it by 1. So if this was 31 instead, we ran Garfield again. Oops. Okay, now we have our border. Of course, this one before it shrinks is solid and it gets a little darker. But it does look better. I think this one definitely looks better. So this highlighted bar will be a bit of a tricky one. We're not gonna have an easy way to not have this shadow come through. This is gonna look a little bit darker. And I guess we could replicate some pixels from above it. I suppose it depends how detailed we want to really get in the okay, but it is square, so it is square in the original one. So I think I am leaning back towards, why don't we do all of our modifications at the real size and then shrink at the end. Yeah. We'll have to decide on the colon. Do we want to leave the colon from the theme, or do we want to draw the colon in our label? I do think this is all nice and square. Everything except for like photos, right? Like they put a photo of Garfield in and it's dithered. But all the UI elements, the corners of everything are all sharp on the full-sized one. So let's go here. No, we want the original. And our box in the original is we're pixel perfect, so we can go right on the edge there. Oops. There we go. Okay. So 112, 27, we'll have to do the math on the end. Too bad this doesn't show you the end corner, huh? Guess, is that down there? 265? Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. Of course, I don't know if I would want Solar the one before. We're going to put the resize right before the conversion, which comes right before the saving. Let's make sure. Will the left edge be pixel perfect if it's a 2? The left edge of this text here, So this will always be a 1, I think. That's one thing I noticed is that on the, I mean, when we download it, right, the file that we're editing, I think that will always be a 1 because all of these previews, so it starts moving as soon as I click on it, but every one of these previews has a 1 there. They all have the exact same text in them. So if we download another random one and we look at it, it will also have the 1. It will say the exact same song name and everything here. So to your point, it might, like, depending on the font, different letter or a different character could be wider. If it's not a monospace font, then a different character will definitely be wider than a 1. But we will always have the 1, so we can count on that, luckily. Which is nice that they did. It's nice that the previews are all the exact same font, everything else. It makes it a good starting point to chop this stuff out of. So we need to get the, so let's map out our rectangle first, and then I'm going to get the pixel for the background color. So we had 112 by 27 here, 27, and then have 153 and 6. 153, 6. So that is 165. And then 6 and 27, that is 34. 34. And the scrolling isn't in the preview. Yes, which is also very helpful. I do think we'll try to make that scrolling happen in CircuitPython. I don't know, we don't have a super easy mechanism for it. Usually scrolling text, the easy mechanism would be just move the X value 1 pixel at a time. But we don't want it to run over the top of this stuff, so we can't just make a label and then move the X. We'll need to be a little trickier about it somehow. Ooh, this is a pretty one. Here's the danger of this project is there are so many of these. I was scrolling through here one day just being like, oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that one. Ooh, yeah, this one is pretty cool. Engineering, science, transportation. I wonder what, do they say, like, what they were for? README. Download the README text. I just do open. Star Trek. Nice. Looks like here's probably a different website with skins too. Think this is still alive? It's not HTTPS. Oh, I probably shouldn't have come here. Okay. Risky URL of the day. 20-year-old Winamp skins. What are the chances that somebody kept re-upping that URL until now and it didn't just get sold to something scammy? Not very good. All right, so we got our, this is the wrong project. We got our rectangle. So pixel, we can use the top left corner of the rectangle, right? This will always be, so this is where we're really testing the pixel perfectness. If the pixel perfect is actually perfect, then we'll always, we took this 1 pixel, we would always get the background color. But this is relying on it to be exactly pixel perfect on every single one, which I think it probably is. But that does seem a bit risky. If we just picked a pixel over here, should do the same thing, and if it's off by 1 pixel here or there on a different theme, then this should still let it work. 121 by 28. So that is the backdrop colors coming from 121 by 28. Let's go format. Oh. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, we could always just do those 2 pixels, and then they're right next to each other. We had one 12 and 27. I do kind of like that, actually. Let's see. We'll run it on a couple of them. Oh, I did have 28. Did I? Oh, because I went down a little bit. That's why. Okay. 12, 27, 27. 27. 112, 27 is this one. 113, 27 is this one. So yeah. 12 is background, 13 is foreground. Wrong project again. This is the CircuitPython code. Background, foreground. Okay. And we did the rectangle. We have a resizing at the end, so let's give this a try. Oh. Our X was messed up. We did still get the slightly darker bottom rung as well, but I do like the solution better anyway, just because it does take dithering off the board for all of the edits we're going to make. Why did we not go wide enough? 165. 265? Probably should have been 265. Yeah, 112 and 153. 265. There we go. Now we're looking good. Okay. So for cutting these out, it looks like there might be this grid thing going on in the background. So I think what we'll do is cut 4 rectangles. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And that way we'll keep all these little dot textures in between. So these are going to be time rectangles. And we can probably just reuse the draw, I think. So time shape 0. XY 48, 26, 48, 26. It's too bad. Can we time? I guess we can. Time shape size 9 by 13. 9 by 13, cake sized. And then this is XY. But do I want to make a location too, or do I want to hard code these pixels in extra time? I think I would want to make a, but also these are, well, this one is 0, time shape 0, lock. 48, 26. So then this is just lock here. This is lock 0, which is X, plus size 0, which is X. Lock 1 plus size 1. And then I guess we could have made a list of these, or we could just hard code the 4 we need. Time shape 0. Backdrop color, yes, same color, that's good. Well, it is on this theme at least. Do we want to... Is there any chance the time would be different than the... Title. It's looking like this. Well, this one. I like to let me just open the image in a new tab. It's kind of what I want to do. I really want to download too many of these. Okay, this one does have differently colored text for the time. And I guess theoretically it could also have a differently colored backdrop. Also, one thing I notice is that this is a different font. The zeros have crossbars, which is the first thing I've seen be different across the previews. I didn't realize that they could, I thought they would all be the same font. So our 1 pixel thing, if the fonts here are different, then our 1 pixel thing could get thrown off. Also, this one is using red for the name, but white for the 1. Maybe we should take our pixel for the font color from the D. Which happens to be the same on this one, but maybe not on this one. I wonder if these are in the same location too. This could throw our plan off here if these are not in the same. So theoretically, this will be 11227. Okay, that's good at least. So they have top half, bottom half colors on the font. We're not going to be able to do that. This is 12627. 12627. I think maybe we should take our font color from there. Because on this one, we should have red font, I think. Like, if you happen to have used this theme, the red font is probably what's going to give you the nostalgia a lot more than if we had taken the white and used it. Some other things are not going to be perfect, like we're not necessarily going to be able to get the exact right font for these. Well, you know what? We could use the gets to be a question of how many steps do we want setup to take though to like numbers. So we could use these, I guess. But then you'd have to download the preview image to run the convert script on it, and also the zip. Take some of the stuff out of it, put it together with everything. So does the upside of getting the correct font for the numbers here outweigh the downside of essentially bringing in extra steps to make it work? You'd have to download both the preview image and the zip, and then maybe run the conversion thing, and the conversion thing would maybe pull some stuff from the preview like we are, pull other stuff from inside the zip, repackage it into something that you can put on your PyPortal. I'm going to start without that. I'm going to start with just using display.io label. Yeah, we do have, like, these two are different sizes as well. Of course, it goes away as soon as I click on it, but the font here is a different size than the font in Garfield. You know what would be cool? Can we copy link? Copy link. So this is what downloads. No. Yeah, this is a different download. I mean, we could, with Python, we could bring requests into. So the line of thought I'm going on is like maybe the person comes to the museum, does like right click, copy link, and maybe that's the input to our script. So the script gets the link, goes to the page, downloads the preview, also goes to the page, downloads the zip, unzips it, grabs what it needs from inside. But the problem is this link, copy link, this is different than, so if we do the base one, let's say, the base one, copy link, this is the link to the base theme. This copy image link, this is the link to the preview image. These two are close enough. This has the same slug. So if we got one, we could convert to the other. But the download... Copy link. This one's different. So if our script was given this URL, it could get the preview from it, but I don't know, this is blob. Does that, if I just plug this in, does it download? Not gonna do anything, is it? Binary octet stream. Save correctly, you think? No, I don't think it saved correctly. Well, saved with the wrong name at least. Okay, I guess it's intact, but it just has a weird name. OBV. I don't know where the name came from either. It's like part of this, maybe? It's not the same. Yeah, that's weird. Got a weird name. What do you all think, the folks that are watching? So do you think it's worth the extra hassle of like the script needing more requirements like this? In this case, it would need Python requests in addition to PIL. That should be the only extra requirement, I think, though. Maybe we could get by with standard library stuff without requests. I'm not sure. But it would need internet access. Do you think it's worth trying to make it download both and then get everything it needs? I think I'm going to start with just the preview, though, because we can still always add this step in front of it. Right now, what we're building is a thing that takes the PNG from here, converts it for us. If we decide to change to this, though, we'll just stick the PNG download in front of the section we have now, and then do the rest of it later. Is that mirror just for previews? Yeah, I think so. It seems like it, at least. I mean, I don't run the server, so maybe they use it for something else as well, but this one, this is the only URL which has the mirror in it, and this one is the preview. This is like the image that is shown in this giant grid. All these different previews. Okay. We'll keep that one. We'll keep that one in mind. It would be nice to have the same font, I grant. So maybe we will eventually like stretch goal if we get the rest of this all working. It would be cool to go back and also pull the font for those numbers. So I think where we were at, I wanted to pull the color of the font from the D instead of the 1, because in cases like this one, we want to get the red. So 126 by 27 for our font instead of 113. What's the name of this one? No idea. SimCity? City. Okay. Got our blank section there. And our config should be red. Yep. Top half, bottom half colors. The zip. Oh yeah, we could. If we do go the zip route, then we do probably get the top half, bottom half of the font. Well, of the number font at least. I guess it depends. If we want to use the font from inside the zip for the letters as well, we could probably do that, but that would definitely be more involved on the CircuitPython side. I don't know, BDF. Is there a thing that will convert a bitmap font into a BDF font? Yeah, that's true. We wouldn't resize it. Yeah, we wouldn't resize it. Actually, because we wouldn't resize the letters, we probably will not be able to use the actual fonts from in. I just noticed Garfield is duplicated here. We won't be able to use the font, at least for the letters, because they wouldn't be the right size. That's a good point, Seagrover. I forgot. So, because we're shrinking the whole thing, the amount of space we have for font is actually a little bit smaller, so the font would be a little bit too big. It would leak outside, especially ones like Kirby here where there's a box around it. Like our font would probably intersect the box, which would not look good. So I think what we'll do is we'll just take the color and we'll use Terminal IO font in that color. Will be for the font up here. The numbers we may still do. The numbers I do think would be kind of cool to bring in those. I assume those come from this file numbers. So we could get a little bit fancier on those. Potentially. This even has the dots in the background, so we would even gain that texture that's kind of behind the numbers, which is interesting. Yeah. Okay. So we got our red out. Got our conversion working. We're cutting out We're cutting out the time numbers. So time shape. In fact, we should have already done the first one. So what is SimCity? Does this have one of these cut out? Sure doesn't. Oh, wrong shape. And then I guess, so yeah, partially I was trying to decide. Well, we need to get the number, the time. I'm going to try to call this time always. We need to try to get the time font color out before we cut any boxes out. Means we don't really want to close this yet. Close this at the end. In fact, we don't even really want to write it. In fact, we could just open it and write it and close it at the end, and let's build up our JSON object. Okay, so text color goes in here. We're gonna go time color. This. Nope. Image.getPixel. Cool. Yeah, I would agree, Gordy. I mean, if we're going to download the zip, then we'll try to use any of the parts we can. I mean, the good thing is the preview has a lot of that stuff for us, so like there's most of it is done for us. If we start to be doing too much that we're pulling out of the zip, then at some point it makes sense to just not use the preview at all and instead get the zip and build everything up from it. But I do think we're probably still on the side of like, I'm just going to do maybe 3 of these different things, different text areas, and then the rest of it will just be kind of decorational. Those 3 parts will be functional. They'll show real text from the real state of the device, like the playlist it's currently running, the time it's at, and the current file. But then the rest of everything will be kind of decorational. There is room for like improvement though. There is room for actually building a full functional UI out of it if somebody wanted to. The main challenge is just it's so small. Maybe with a stylus you could do it. So this we need to find where's the time. So let's go. This does get challenging because if the font's different, then it may not be guaranteed. Yeah, it may not be guaranteed. So in this one, so we could get this color out of the zip, and then it's a little more likely that we find it. But if we take it from here, 5226, is that one get us on this? Yeah, it does. Okay. Maybe we'll say 5226, and hopefully that will get us the time color. Time color. So this is setting it into config data, so that'll get written at the end. Time shape. Should be drawing the first one. So let's run this. Yeah, we'll do some config data. Okay. All right, so we have a blank spot for one of our numbers, which is nice. We have blank spot for our text. Let's make sure we got the right colors. We should have red for text and blue for time. And we do. RGB, blue, nice, okay. Perfect. So we need to make the other 4 cutouts for the time. Size, we don't need to duplicate, actually. Did we for loop this? Yeah. So how much? So we are at where? 4826 or 9 by 13. So what is the difference between 48 and 60? 12. So margin, time margin equals 12. for I in range 4. This is going to be per time shape. And time first location is actually going to be this. And then this is going to be tuple first location plus I times margin. Y will always be the same as first Y, 26. This way we'll get the same size rectangle. Each time. But it will be 12 pixels further to the right to get 4 cutouts. Per time shape. Oh, wait, we already have cur time shape. What is this? This should be location. Cur time shape block. This one. Cur time shape. Okay. Get the location, then get the shape, then draw the rectangle. Yeah, so that should do all 4. Only concatenate tuple, not int to tuple. Right, so this needs to be X. The colon is a good point. I don't know where the colon comes from, actually. It's not in numbers, is it? No colon in here. I don't know where they got the colon. It must be in this somewhere. Maybe is it come from here? But this is the smaller text. This is like the text it uses in the playlist and up in that bar at the top. Browser. General? This one has another font in it too. I don't know where the colon comes from. Must be in here. Oh, the colon is embedded in the background. I see. Yeah. So the colon is not a character. The colon is actually a trick. It's part of the background. But I think we'll just leave the colon there. Like, this should cut out around it. This should leave it intact, I think. Okay, well, this didn't quite work. Let's draw these a color, and we can see what this is doing. I must have got this logic wrong somehow. Let's draw these fill. Let's do this. Duplicate. For now, let's just go red. Or let me do green, actually. We need alpha? Oh, we don't want 0, though. Definitely want that if we're going to have alpha. Let's try leaving it off. That looks Pretty decent, actually. As far as the 4 boxes, we just must not... Oh, right, the colon is more than 12 away. Duh. It kind of wrecks the for loop, doesn't it? Can we just skip it? The logic is going to start to get super weird, though. Hey, what happened? Okay. So that's good, I guess. It's monospaced. So we can go 5 instead, and then just if I is not 0, 1, 2, if it's not 2, then do all of this. It'll skip 2, but then it'll go to 3, which will multiply. Still not quite. Stop letting me move it. Okay. No more for loop. I thought that was gonna save some code duplication, but it's gonna make the logic all silly. It's not worth it. Yep. Okay. So now we'll get the starting position of each. The last one was 48 here. This one is 60, which does fit the rule we were aiming for. The others do not. Not monospace, the colon is narrower. Ah, I see. Yeah, but then we'd have to have logic for like something other than 12, multiply for that 1, and then at the end of the day it makes it more complex than I really wanted it to be. It would cut down duplication though. So like that would still happen, but in this case I think the duplication is worth the clarity, I guess, basically. Downside of the duplication is not so bad that it outweighs the upside of the clarity of the code. 78 on this one. I guess I could have done like, I could have put these 4 in a list and then I could have iterated the list. I kind of like that solution now that I've said it out loud, even though I've already done this one. $90 is the last one. Yeah. Shape X locks list. Well, it can be a tuple. I'm trying to be better about using tuples instead of lists if I'm not going to add more things. I don't know if that actually saves RAM, but it seems like it might. Now we can go for xlock in these. We do this. This is back to per time shape block. This is back to cur time shape. And we would just have our xlock be here. The rest is the same. There we go. So the colon is still there. Blue colon is still there. But there are holes for the numbers, so we could fill back in the numbers. Did we mess up this building? That black bar in the building always there? Oh, right, that's the title bar, duh. So yeah, I mean, we didn't mess it up, but we did cause it. That's what we meant to do. Okay. It looks pretty good. You know, some stuff like this doesn't look perfect anymore because of the way we had to scale down. I don't have a PyPortal Titano. Maybe one of these days I need to pick up a PyPortal Titano. Be nice to run on that device because it could run at full size. Only Winamp had seen the future size of the PyPortal before it existed. Made itself match. Okay, so the other thing I want to cut out is the playlist, I think, down here. Because we might not have Ministry or Marilyn Manson or Propeller Heads. So I think here we're gonna just cut the entire thing. I don't think I'm gonna worry about highlighting. So I did use Winamp, but I did not use all these special themes, and I do not remember at all what it looked like or how it behaved, really. But my assumption is that the white text here indicates this is the one we're currently playing, and that the red highlighting here indicates like this is the one with focus. Like if you were using arrow keys or if you had clicked on it, then it would give that one focus, and then I guess probably you double click or you click the play down here or something. Somehow you could start the one that's highlighted. Maybe enter key would do it. And I think what I'm gonna do is just blank out this whole playlist and keep I think we'll just reuse this color, honestly, the red from up here, and we won't have the idea of current one is a different color. Maybe we'll table it, maybe we'll come back around and break out this color as well. I don't know if we're gonna be able to fit 4 in here once it's like shrunk in and on the PyPortal. Because our font size might not be the exact same either. We may only have 3. And we're not going to have any highlighting because we're not really going to have a way to go through this list. I think eventually I might like to provide basic next previous. I don't know exactly what the interface will be, but maybe next previous we can get working so that you could at least advance through the playlist. But I don't think we're going to make it to where like you can click a specific one of these and it's going to start it up. It's not going to highlight it or do any of that. Get a 3.5-inch TFT. That's a good point too. I do have one of those actually. I have it on my little hotkey macro pad thing. Oh, reorder the playlist. That's probably right. Yeah, so if you wanted to like move song 8 up to song 3 or whatever, you could like select one and then up arrow to shuffle the list order. That's a good point. I think we're going to just cut this rectangle here though. So and do I want to cut it any bigger than I need to, or I only cut it the exact height? What are some of these other ones? Seems like we should be pretty safe to cut it like basically right above the text. You don't necessarily need to go the entire inside of that box. And in fact, on some of them like this one, keeping it as small as we can will be helpful because this has some extra things down there that we could accidentally cut if we were making our text cutout bigger than it needs to be vertically. So I got these things, which kind of are encroaching on the playlist. But if we keep our cutout to be the exact height of the text, then we should not interrupt with anything down here. So I think we want basically this. At the base there. L in Llamas, probably the tallest one here. That's good. Yeah, I think this is our cutout. So we have 11,257. So this is gonna be the playlist shape. Should I just do it the same way? Size. Kind of like this, so I don't have to calculate the bottom right. So size is 244 by 48. 244 by 48. This is not a function though. This is an equals a tuple. Shape playlist shape equals. All right, we didn't do a lock. Playlist shape lock tuple. This is 11,257. 7. This is basically the same thing we had up here. I'll write it out again. Shape. So this is going to be, well, the first one is just the lock. This one is lock plus size. Lock 0 plus size 0. And then Y lock 1 plus size 1. Let's. Why did you do it? A little tail? Okay. Interesting. Okay, so now image draw, rectangle, playlist shape, fill. We just do backdrop. It's look the same to me. Let's try with backdrop color, and if it will run a couple of them, and if it ends up not looking right on some of them, then we'll go back and get the playlist backdrop color specifically. Nice. Oh. So one is different. The one is different. The other one had a one like this, where the crossbar was 1 pixel down. This one has the crossbar on the top. We got the wrong backdrop color. So let's take the pixel above that. But that gets weird here. So let's take one from like in here somewhere between the 1 and the DJ. That way the font doesn't matter as much. I actually hadn't noticed that those were different fonts. I thought those were all going to be the same font. It does make sense though, I guess, because we had those bitmap fonts inside the zip, so. Scroll bar. I'm not sure what I had. Oh, a scroll bar in the playlist, that's true. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I might leave the scroll bar. It's non-functional, but I mean, a bunch of the stuff in the UI is going to be non-functional. Did I cut over it or leave it? Yeah, it looks like we left it. I kind of like the scroll bar. I'll probably leave it. In like future state, eventually, this could try to make this part functional, maybe. I mean, functional for like scrolling functional. I intend to put a couple in there, but not really have the scrolling. Just show you the current one and the next couple. That's just all it does. It won't let you scroll down to see the, you know, the tail end of the list or whatever. Where do we get our backdrop color? Let's choose a new pixel. I think something in here. 20 by 29. That looks better. I will say this feels like it leaked out by 1 pixel, maybe, right? We have this kind of 1 extra pixel section here. I assume probably lines up with what we cut out. I don't know for certain. Let's try Garfield. Looking good up there. Looking good here. Don't have it on this one. I wonder if we have room to move in by 1 pixel. So, playlist cutout. If we said 12. Good, still there. Nice, yeah, that got rid of our Got rid of our little extra pixel on the side here, it seems. Now we're nice and sharp on that edge. Oh, I have no colon in this one. But the colon's part of the background. Technically, it could just not have one. Fingers crossed. Indeed. Yeah, it just doesn't have one. It's fine, right? That's part of the theme. And we did actually end up kind of keeping this effect. I didn't really think we were, but we do actually have that, kind of. It's a little bit bigger, I think. But we do still have this idea of the transparent gray overlay on top of Jackie's head. Which of course is not actually transparent and it's just darker pixels. Makes our eyes perceive it as transparent. Maybe that makes it transparent? I don't know. We did actually get that though, which I'm a little surprised about. But the rest of this is all looking pretty good to me. Let's put Jackie Chan on our device. Anything's open. Right project. Thing. Not find one I want. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I think that's passable. Like, if you had used this theme, and again, I used Winamp, but I did not really ever get too much into the themes, and I don't really remember what it looked like when I used it. So I kind of, I rode this train a little bit, but not. I think there were some people that were a lot more into it than I was. So, but that being said, I could imagine if you had used this particular skin, and you got this thing loaded up and jamming some MP3 tunes coming out of there, I could see how this would definitely bring you back to that feeling or whatever feeling you associate with this old player, which is really the main point of this, is kind of Winamp nostalgia, basically. So I think we're on the right path here. Let's copy the config file as well, and then let's start making labels. And we'll just put, filler text for now, but so what did we end up with on this one? Text color and time color. I don't know that we got the right ones. We should have had black. I took it from the top of the D. Top of the D is not here on this one. Took it from like here. Hmm. 127 by 27. Is that right? 126 by 27. Close enough. Get from the top right corner of the D. D is different here and doesn't actually have it. Simulated transparency, good name for it. Talking about before how it's layered over. How do we solve this? Because there's really not, I mean, I can choose a new pixel. Like if we said this is the new pixel, 126 by 29. This gives me the red that I want here. But what I'm realizing is there's not, because these fonts are all different, there's really no guarantee. So I think how would I even get it out of here? I guess we could maybe use the fact that this bottom row is blank. We think that bottom row is blank for every skin? Or is there some possibility that these characters are actually filled in on some skins? If those could be, if we can assume those will always be blank, then we could take a random pixel, not random, but like choose a pixel within this blank area that doesn't actually have characters. Because we have no characters, whatever pixel we grab is guaranteed to be the background color. And then we could just take a chunk of the rest of this, find the two colors that are going to be in it. Whichever one is not the background color is going to be the foreground color. But if there's a character in the spot we choose, then we might accidentally get the foreground color instead of the background color. The 30-second character should be space. At the right edge over here? How many? There's 26 letters. Is that right? 728. I don't know if there's 3 or 2 here. 2930. 32. 30-second character should be a space. Is that an ASCII code, 32 for space, or we count it out from here? It's guessing. Oh, okay. We probably would always have space over here. Let's download the Jackie Chan one. Zip it. Find it now. Get you in there. He is. 32 is ASCII space. I think maybe they're not in that order. I guess it could also just be offset or whatever, right? Because A is not 1, I don't think. So I don't actually know my ASCIIs either. I could be wrong. Jackie Chan, let's copy this up to here. Unzip. Oh wow, this one has stuff with it. Text. Okay. There is space. I wish I could zoom in. Like, while I'm zooming, it's pixel perfect, but if I stop, then it blurs. I wish I could get that pixelness zoomed in instead of fuzzy, but you can't, so here we are. It does look like space is always going to be over here. So we could maybe use that to find our background. So that's funny. All of these have Jackie Chan's mouth only. Like part of his ear or something up here. I don't know what this is. The way these are chopped up is kind of funny though. Okay. So let me think about this. I'm not sure we could use the numbers. Or it was transparent on a different zoom level. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to use the numbers as is. Even if we downloaded and unzipped them, they should probably be 1 or 2 pixels too big, I think. Because we scaled everything else down. And we can't really just scale those, or else our font is going to look not very good. Give it a try, though. So what I'm thinking is maybe now is the time to make the script accept the URL, and then download the preview, download the zip, unzip it, and we'll get the colors out of the text BMP. And then once we've done that, maybe we'll look into reusing the numbers one to see if maybe, I mean, it's so close, such a small fraction, and we didn't shrink it by that much. There's a chance maybe that it fits and doesn't look horrible. We might just have to like squeeze it in a little bit. It'll look maybe proportionally a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's try that. Let's say, what do we want to do first? We want to... So see, this gets tough because we're going to end up having to do some like web scraping. Is this the same page we're on? Yeah. So Python download file. This does use requests. Scan a few pixels around the characters in the preview and compare to the background. Like pick a pixel, I think I know what you mean, maybe pick a pixel outside, pick a pixel that we're pretty sure is going to be outside the text, like in here somewhere, and then look inside the text sprite sheet, find our two possible colors. Well, there's three because there's the highlighted one, but the two are really the main two we're concerned with, and then find the one that's not this one, and then that would be our foreground. Yeah. Is there not like just a one-liner? Download this URL. Looks like we have to do get it and then open it and then write it. Whoops. So we lose the naming convention here too, right? Because when these download, they're just like hashtag like MD5 sums or something instead of names. I think what we'll do is this. Definitely not going to download Facebook thing. That we can be sure of. Put the base one as the default one. This will be nice, I guess, because then you'll get the base one if you don't supply the argument, even if you haven't downloaded it, which is nice. I do like that this does the downloading for you. Okay. Some of the rest of this stuff is all gonna have to change. Just gonna comment it out for now. Because we're gonna have to download the first thing, which is gonna be an HTML page. From that HTML page, we're then gonna have to parse out the download link. And then we download the download link. And then we also need to download the preview image. But we can get the preview image by manipulating the input URL. Scan 20 horizontal pixels and look for a non-background color. Yeah. Do think that we can do that. So one thing we'll also have to do is unzip from Python code, which will be a new thing for me. I don't know if I've done that before. I'm gonna have to run to the restroom though for just a minute, and then I will be back to carry on. I'm gonna fill up my water too, actually, afterwards. Okay. Back. But I do need to respond to somebody over here. Okay. Probably going to be actually prepping up before too long. Got some movers coming to move some stuff today. They are coming pretty soon, it sounds like. I'm going to keep going for now, though. Let's try to make this download and see what we actually get. So we'll mess with file name later. I think we'll probably give a way for you to specify a name, maybe. Like first argument is the URL, next argument is a name for it or something. That way we can at least call it something besides this big long thing. So where's our download? We basically just open and then do r.content like this. Open temp. I think it's going to be an HTML page. Right? Is it, do we want RB, write bytes, or? Yeah. Well, write bytes, WB. Content. Close. Okay. Now we're back to no arguments. Well, if we have no arguments, it will do this one. This should be 2. And also, this should be URL equals. Okay, it is HTML. Download. Yikes, we don't have download anywhere. So the thing we need to parse is the surprised that we didn't find this. Data download skin. That seems like it would be what we want. Data? I have no metadata. Actual page. Show anything. Failed to load a bunch of stuff. Mess up the chat. No. Of course, I still doesn't load anything here. Site init We don't have the JS that it's trying to use. Well, that makes it trickier. Makes it quite a bit trickier. Would this be the place where the download goes? No. This is this hash, which we saw earlier was different. 48279A. Yeah. So this is Jackie Chan? It's Jackie Chan. Let's see. Okay, let's do base. Oh, I had Jackie Chan up there when I copied this. One is one line. This might be the preview. Yeah. Okay. This is all Twitter stuff. Google Analytics. Idea. Obfuscated stuff that's loading something. Yeah. It is a different URL, I think. It doesn't have, it's the CDN instead of mirror. That's true. I don't know why it's different, but it does seem to be the same file. I assume it was the same file. Did it, that download? No. So it was already here. Okay. 75 by 348, yeah. That is the preview image. So yeah, it's a different URL. Different server it must be, I guess, or different app or something, but I don't know how we're gonna get the download though. If this page manifests JSON? Hmm. It didn't let me actually load it. Like forwarded me back to here. Why can't I just not? Here's? Yes, I want all of it. Hmm. Well, whatever it downloaded, it was not a JSON file manifest. Downloaded HTML page with analytics on it. I guess maybe the same page that we got without manifest.json. Honestly, it looks like maybe the same page. Yeah. So I don't know how we're gonna be able to do this. This is still out of date because this is the base, but we're in Doritos now. README is even a different URL. Well, that's a bummer. I don't know. I mean, I guess that when this page loads, then some this JavaScript, my guess is when this finishes, then we have the download link and all of that stuff. But if we can't see any of that stuff before it runs, like, I don't know if we have a... I don't know that we really have a way to make the JavaScript run. Hmm. ...2007 this one was released, so this maybe went on later than I was thinking. So I think really we have two options. Either if we want to use, so like right now the path we're going down is we want to be able to use the preview image and the actual skin zip. Oh, that was loud, probably. I'm sorry. I accidentally bonked the microphone. My apologies. Either we can't do that. Either we have to find a way to just use one or the other, which means we either have to stick to only the preview, or we have to go the other route and stick to only the skin zip, in which case we need to unzip it and we need to rebuild this entire UI. Which I don't think, I think I side with the preview. The preview, so much work of building the UI is already done, that feels like the right way to go. If we want to be able to use both, then we either need to make our Python script be able to like download the page and execute the JavaScript inside of it, and then hope that the resulting page we can parse that download link out of. But we need to not just download the page as HTML, we need to like run it inside of a rendering like JavaScript engine. Basically, we need to use my guess is there's going to be like a testing automation tool that would let us do this, like let us hit the URL and it would pretend to be a browser and it would do all the things a browser would do, and then let us maybe try to get stuff out of it. Or the other option is pretty much the user has to download both. The user has to download, well, yeah, the user has to, I'll say broadly speaking, the user has to provide both. So the user could provide this URL, and the user could download this thing and provide this WSZ file. The user gives us those two things. Then we can get the preview image because it's just jumbled up version of this inside of a different URL. And we can get the zip because they gave it to us. But they have to give us both things. They have to give us the zip and they have to give us the preview image, essentially. Which in this case, we're grabbing the preview image by basically redoing the URL. Okay. Not too loud, that's good. So much for the time font. We may still get to the time font. The time font is inside the zip. So if we are going to have the zip, then we are going to be able to get the time font out of it. The next problem on the time font, though, I don't know about the size. It may be too big for the space we have since we scaled down. That'll be our next hurdle on the time font front. But I'm going to head out for now. I got some folks coming in that are moving some stuff. So I will catch you all next week for sure. Possibly I'll be back Monday working on this as well, I imagine, at some point, but I don't know exactly what time of day. So if you're interested in this and you're not busy on Monday, head up my Twitch or YouTube, or if you do it on YouTube, then you can watch it whenever you want. So thank you, C. Grover, and is it Gordy G, maybe, in the chat. Appreciate both of you for watching. Thanks, Johnny. And yeah, I'll catch you all next time.